What's going on, everyone? Welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5, presented by Flowhub. As usual, I am your host, Shad Dales. If you're running a dispensary or planning to scale, Flowhub, it powers some of the most sophisticated retail operations in cannabis. So if you're serious about building it the right way, visit flowhub.com and book a demo today. Okay, what is on the agenda here today? Well, it's a story we've been following and tracking very closely, at least for the last couple of months, and it just took another level. And it comes out of where else? The state of Texas, where that hemp crackdown that we've been talking about, the one that went into effect last month at the end of March, it has now hit a legal roadblock. So what happened? I'm sure some of you know this already, but a Texas judge has just stepped in and he hit pause on the state's new hemp rules, including that controversial ban on smokable products like THCA flower. So for those that are new, let's quickly reset the timeline. At the end of March, Texas implemented new rules through its health agencies that essentially redefined THC limits to include THC-A, which, if you follow this space, it effectively wipes out a huge portion of the hemp market. So we're talking about flower, we're talking about pre-rolls, which is a big chunk of retail inventory. And as we know, this was far from being minor for a lot of these retailers. This was the majority of their business overnight. So what happened? Well, the industry pushed back, and they pushed back real hard and real fast. A coalition of hemp businesses and advocacy groups, they filed a lawsuit arguing that state regulators overstepped their authority and basically created a ban without lawmakers actually passing one. So now we've got the first major development in that case. A Travis County judge has issued a temporary restraining order pausing enforcement of these new rules for at least 14 days while the court considers the broader legal challenge. So to break that down, what does it mean in real terms? Well, what it means for now is smokable hemp products are back on the market in Texas, at least temporarily. So I wouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves in this. And this is key because this isn't a final ruling. This is not the court saying the law is unconstitutional. This is the judge merely saying, hold on, we need to take a closer look at this before it actually stays in place. Now, there's also a hearing scheduled to determine what happens next, whether this turns into a longer-term injunction or the rules go back into effect. So now let's fast forward to the present and why this matters, because it's bigger than just Texas in all this. First, this is another example of what we've been seeing across the country. Regulators right now are trying to close the hemp loophole, and for good reason. And to some, especially in the hemp industry, they think they've greatly overstepped their boundaries in all this. And that's exactly why this industry is arguing here. They're not necessarily saying no regulation at all, because yes, there needs to be regulation. What they're really saying is you can't bypass the legislature and wipe out an entire category through agency rulemaking. And they have somewhat of a point here, do they not? And the court, at least for now, seems to think that argument deserves a closer look. Second, and this highlights just how disruptive these rules are. We're talking about regulations that count THCA towards total THC, also effectively ban smokable hemp, restrict interstate supply, and dramatically increase licensing fees. And in some cases, there are retail license fees that jump from a few $100s now to thousands per year. So that is a drastic change again overnight. So when you combine all that, you can see why the industry reached out immediately. Now, if you zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about one state, Texas is one of the largest markets in the country. And we all know what happens here is going to set the tone in many other states across the country. So if regulators do indeed win, this becomes a blueprint for other states then to follow. And if the industry wins, it slows down that momentum significantly. And here's the bigger dynamic also at play. You've really got states trying to rein in intoxicating hemp products, a federal government looking at broader THC definitions, and an industry that's grown rapidly in a regulatory gray area. And now all that is starting to collide in the courtrooms. And one more thing to keep in mind too, if the industry wins this round, this fight is far from over. We could just be getting started, because whether it's Texas or at the federal level, the push to regulate or outright restrict THC in hemp products is not going to be going away at all. But for now, this is a clear signal that the courts are going to play a major role in how this all unfolds. So there's going to be a lot to come here over the next couple of weeks. And for operators, really, this creates both opportunity and really a lot of uncertainty, because in some ways today, yes, you're back open again, but in a few weeks, well, that could change, and most likely it won't be. What the hemp industry badly needs is proper regulation. What that is, well, let's have those conversations, and I think that's what they're asking for before actually slamming the door without actually having a voice at the table. And I don't blame them for something like that. But one thing's for sure, what was in place before, those days are over. That needs to change. So let's have a discussion. Let's have proper regulation. Now it's going to be up to the courts to see what happens next. So we will, without a doubt, be watching this closely. closely. For now, let us know in the comments below what you think of this decision about how this ban is actually on hold right now and extended really for hemp and THCA flower to be sold still until later this month. Also, what do you think the outcome will be? Let's keep this conversation going, so leave those comments coming in. That's it for now. One last thing, make sure to like, subscribe, smash on that bell for all notifications, and stay connected with us here at TDR. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Thanks for checking in. I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, everyone.